There are elites around the world, including the 847 billionaires who live in Europe today, who love to splurge into homes, classical art, and some interesting hobbies. Let's start off with Bernard Arnault. Let's begin with Bernard Arnault, a French businessman, investor, and art collector, the chairman and chief executive of LVMH, Moet Hennessy Louis Vuitton SE, the world's largest luxury goods company. Bernard's net worth is an astonishing $189.1 billion. His multi-million-dollar real estate is a 150-year-old castle surrounded by vineyards on all sides. Even by the standards of the castle 150 years ago, it is a beautiful place. The property covers 41 hectares and offers 600 worth of wine per bottle. The luxurious space was purchased in 1998 by Bernard and his Belgian partner for $175.4 million. He also spent a considerable amount of money in Saint-Tropez, France, for a beautiful house in the neighborhood, which cost over $20 million. These villas are the perfect combination of classic and modern. They have old European architectural style with all the facilities and a huge pool. What's best about the place is the ocean view that is really breathtaking. He also invested a huge amount for the town, turning a former quaint place into a boutique location built to attract celebrity guests. In fact, Leonardo DiCaprio, Beyoncé, Bono, and Samuel L. Jackson have recently spent the summer there. So his investment has definitely paid off. Entering one of his very personal homes, you would see his walls adorned with classic artwork. He has a competitor in the art world, François Pinault, who is a top 20 art collector and luxury brand manager. They frequently bid tens to hundreds of millions for both newer and classic artists like Monet. Bernard also spent hundreds of millions on the restoration of Notre Dame. He also bought a 70-meter-long yacht known as Amadeus for $70 million. It has marble floors, 6 cabins, a gym, and a golf track. Up next is Amancio Ortega. Next up is Amancio Ortega, a Spanish billionaire businessman and the founder and former chairman of Zara, a clothing and accessory shop. Amancio has amassed a fortune of $79 billion after founding the INDITEX fashion group and the Zara clothing line. His holding company owns $17 billion worth of property. He also bought the tallest tower in Miami, which cost him $500 million. This offers the kind of modern office spaces and apartments that renters are probably fancying for. He also owns a $150 million architectural history in New York of $150 million architectural history. Manhattan's Howitz building may not be the tallest building in the city, but it has its own one-of-a-kind features. The 5-story 79-foot building in Soho was built by John P. Gaynor in 1857 and provided the first functional elevator in New York City. Ortega might not have the best car collection, but he drives Mercedes-Benz. He is most often seen in the luxury Mercedes-Benz S-Class worth $28,000 with a top speed of 130 miles per hour. In addition, he has a Benz GL Class that costs $58,000 that runs up to 131 miles per hour. He owns a 67-meter super yacht, Drizzle, worth $80 million. From the classic look of a contemporary finish to the luxurious interiors designed by Redmond Whitley Dixon. Ortega also owns a private jet, a Gulfstream G650 worth $65 million. Now we have Richard Branson. Richard Branson, a British entrepreneur and business magnate with a net worth of £3.9 billion. Since he is recently launching commercial space flights, he'll probably be much richer in the coming years. He primarily lives on a luxe British Virgin Islands retreat, Necker Island, which he bought for $180,000 in 1979. He even spent $10 million turning it into his own luxury paradise. His family house in Surrey Village is a total opposite, which is an epitome of a tranquil English country home. The $5.2 million 4-bedroom home sits on 1.4 acres of farmland. Richard also has a home in a pretty sleepy location in Holland Park, but this looks more stylish than their family house. It is 5-story high with 12 bedrooms and a swimming pool. The place was originally bought for new employees of his company. The newbies would stay there for training. Later, it became his family home for several years until it was sold for $70 million. Clearly, Branson wanted to enjoy a variety of homes from a country home to a London estate to a full-blown island. Next up is James Dyson. James Dyson, a British inventor, industrial designer, farmer and billionaire entrepreneur who founded Dyson Ltd. He is best known as the inventor of the dual-cycle and bagless vacuum cleaner, which works on the principle of cyclonic separation. Since James is an inventor and an engineer whose formal education was art, it is not surprising that his home is an artistic wonder of unique architectural design. He has a unique $45 million bungalow in Singapore. It hangs over a hill on several sides and features a winding pool, multiple waterfalls, gardens, and ponds. The house also has an entertainment room, a massive wine cellar, a rooftop terrace, and 2 kitchens. What's most impressive is the fact that it is 21,108 square feet. In Singapore, it's quite a big deal even for foreigners to own a land as big as that. But since he relocated his headquarters to Singapore, he was able to secure some land there. The other property that James owns is totally different from that modern bungalow in Singapore. It looks like the place is owned by a royalty because it has a pink room which looks like a British girl's dream house and a royal room befitting of a king. The house with marble floors, majestic English art of the famous aristocrats on the walls, pillars, huge double staircases, and enough outdoor space to land helicopters is worth $20.1 million. That's not all. This place has its own church, walled kitchen garden, lakes, forests, orangery, and even a private art gallery. The Doddington Art Gallery is supposed to be a closed space where famous works of pop art will be open to the public. James likes spending much for innovations as his company is planning to spend $3.6 billion in the next 5 years just to test new ideas. They are currently working on robotics and machine learning. Next up is François Bettencourt Meyers. François Bettencourt Meyers is the granddaughter of the founder of L'Oreal and the richest woman not only in Europe, but in the world with a net worth of $94.3 billion. She has a property in one of the most exclusive Parisian neighborhoods. The property was inherited when her mother passed away. Like other billionaires in France, Meyers also wanted to restore the Notre Dame Cathedral that went up in flames in 2019, so together, L'Oreal and the Bettencourt Meyers family agreed to donate $226 million to repair it. Meyers is quite different from other elites as she is not interested in innovation, car collections, and so on. She is more into spiritual matters as she wrote several books on subjects ranging from Greek mythology to Judaism and Catholicism. Not only is she interested in leading the world as one of the most successful businesswomen to date, she also wants to promote a world that is beautiful on the outside and deep and thoughtful on the inside. Now last but never the least is Giorgio Armani. Giorgio Armani is one of the most famous European billionaires in the world. This is mainly because Armani is one of the best fashion brands ever made. The brand has brought $7 billion to Giorgio by 2021. Armani surely owns lavish real estate all over the world. His homes are not only places to live, but also a work of art in itself. His house in Milan is probably the one that most closely resembles him. He moved into the place in 1982 and insisted he didn't want to leave it. The interior design plan is virtually creative and has spiral staircases, beautiful home offices, and gorilla statues. This kind of house costs at least $6 million. His multi-million-dollar winter home in Switzerland, Aix Barros, is farther away and is a large property with high ceilings, plenty of open space, and a dark brown color scheme. It's a place designed to escape everything, inviting you to drink whiskey by the fireplace. Now let's take a look at his Caribbean mansion. The Antigua house consists of pavilions and villas piled up on a cliff. He has an open floor plan for the house so that for such a large real estate, the wind from the sea can pass through the house and make it feel like living on an island all the way through the house. This house must be at least a few $1,000,000, although it could be in the range of over $600,000. He has a type of super yachts that looks great by the standards of super yachts. The $60 million ship, named Maine, was personally designed by Armani for 30 months. What's fascinating about his yacht is its unique color scheme. Armani gave it a camouflage look which is typically unique compared to other super yachts. It has a 65-meter hull that can accommodate 12 people in 7 cabins and can host a crew of 14. It also has a cinema room, gym, and jacuzzi. Once inside, you'll find that it looks exactly like what you'd expect from an Armani yacht.